أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I have a very dear friend of mine. A lot of our conversations are geared around the Quran, so I thought who better than have my brother Muhammed Datoo here to share his Quran journey with us. Assalamu alaikum, Muhammad.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. How are you, Imranali?
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Thank you so much for joining and for agreeing to share your journey with us.
Not at all. Ramadan Kareem to everyone.
Ahsan. You know, Muhammad, I don't know if I should share this, but we actually have a WhatsApp group called What Color Kanzu today. I'm glad we're on sync. But anyways, let's start off with your with the conversation with your journey. Where did it all start?
So, alhamdulillah, the Quran is very dear to me. And as you know, we always emphasize, and a lot of our conversations go around the Holy Quran and the relationship that we should have with the Holy Quran. I think, of course, credit to my parents and my teachers early on who used to go through the pain of teaching, especially your parents, because early on, you know, they're the ones who taught Alif Ba. And every time we recite, they get ample thawab. So may Allah bless them. But it started off early on when I was in around year 4. I was maybe 8-9 years old, and we had received a recording of Mishari al-Afasi, and he was reciting Surah Al-Mulk. And nowadays you can't hear his recitation in that style anymore, but that recording was something which my dad loved, and through the whole day, especially on the weekend, it would just be playing on the computer. Being that age, you know, your brain can soak in so many things. You know, even if I was just playing with my toys or doing something else, the fact that it was playing, naturally, it was involuntarily getting stuck in my head. And alhamdulillah, I picked it up quite quickly, the tune, the words, and that's where it all really kicked off, because I really enjoyed that tune that he had, and that made me want to read the Quran more. And find more of the recordings of his recitations, and try and learn those as well. So that's really where it started off initially.
Ahsan. So a lot of listening then, huh? Consciously and subconsciously.
Definitely, yeah. It all comes down to that, especially when you're younger.
And I've noticed the trend. So whoever I've been speaking to along this series, like it's all about a big chunk of it is about listening. And I think when you think about learning Quran and trying to practice Quran, obviously you naturally say, okay, I need to read the Quran, I need to recite it a lot just so that I can get used to it. But it's amazing how much a role listening plays when it comes to just getting those makharij and tajweed rules and the tune on point as well.
Definitely, especially when we want to recite Arabic in the way it should be recited. The best way to do that is to listen to a native who is reciting that.
Exactly, because we're not in that environment over here to be able to pick it up easily, right? Nice. Al-Afasi, you're saying it's a different tune to what we're accustomed to just now?
That's right. It's a very beautiful tune. If I have one of his older recordings, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, please do.
It was very melodious and soothing to the heart.
Oh, very nice. Ahsan. So you mentioned your parents and Al-Afasi, but other than that, who was your real first teacher or inspiration in your journey of Quran?
So of course, madrasa played its role as always, and may Allah increase the tawfiq of the teachers who are teaching there, inshallah. People like Fatma Bai Virani, you know, these people used to teach. We used to go to their houses to learn Quran. Fatma Auntie Asaria as well. But then it got to a stage where I started listening to what we call Mujawwid Quran. So, or tahqiq, a much slower recitation, but in a specific style, which you would probably know mostly by if you heard the name Abdul Basit. So the famous Qari Abdul Basit, him and others like him, I started to really enjoy their recitations. And the likes of people like Muallim Murtada Bandali, of course, Brother Hasnain Juma, people like this, they used to recite like this in the masjid. And it was really an inspiration for me. So I used to try and listen to that a lot more. So they were my main real inspirations. And the more I listened, of course, the more you pick up. There's something called makamat when it comes to this sort of recitation. So different styles of how to recite in different melodies. So that's something which I was trying to pick up. And then I spent one Shahr Ramadan in Dar es Salaam. And in Dar, there was a malim whose name was Yusuf Musa. I remember when I was young, I'd gone and I'd heard him recite. So when I went, maybe 8-9 years later, I saw him and I asked him if he could teach me. So whilst I was there, we would set aside the time during darsa. I would be with him alone in the masjid, and he would give me classes on maqamat.
So recitation of Quran, the people that recite Quran, what they're doing is like an artist. So you have a blank canvas and you're trying to articulate or what's in your mind, for example, and try and draw it up. So that's essentially what a reciter is doing, trying to articulate and paint a picture for the listener on what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to tell us. So just have that in mind when Muhammad is reciting this, and we'll have the Arabic and the meaning up there. So just try and see how Muhammad is articulating himself based on the meaning. So Bismillah, Muhammad.
Ahsant. We'll start with the barakat of Salat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وتوكل على الحي الذي لا يموت وسبح بحمده.
الله
وكفى به بذنوب عباده خبيرا. الذي خلق السماوات والأرض وما بينهما في 6 أيام ثم استوى على العرش. الرحمن فاسأل به خبيرا.
الله.
وإذا قيل لهم اسجدوا للرحمن قالوا وما الرحمن أنسجد لما تأمرنا. وإذا قيل لهم اسجدوا للرحمن قالوا وما الرحمن أنسجد لما تأمرنا. وزادهم نفورا.
أحسنت. الله.
تبارك الذي جعل في السماء بروجا. تبارك الذي جعل في السماء بروجا وجعل فيها سراجا وسراجا وقمرا منيرا.
الله الله.
وهو الذي جعل الليل والنهار خلفة وهو الذي جعل الليل والنهار خلفة لمن أراد أن يذكر أو أراد شكورا.
الله.
وعباد الرحمن وعباد الرحمن وعباد الرحمن الذين يمشون على الأرض هونا وإذا خاطبهم الجاهلون قالوا سلاما.
الله الله الله. أحسنت.
والذين يبيتون لربهم سجدا وقياما والذين يقولون ربنا اصرف عنا عذاب جهنم إن عذابها كان غراما إنها ساءت مستقرا ومقاما. صدق الله العلي العظيم.
أحسنت أحسنت. طيب الله. أحسنت. Thank you so much for that. That was really, really, really beautiful. You're right. It just has such a different dimension to it when you see the meaning of it, and that makes the recitation and the makamat and the tunes that you choose make the meanings and the lessons just pop out a lot more and really hit the heart a lot more. So thank you so much for that.
Shukran.
Just wanted to pick on this then. Let's see how it actually works, right? So what maqamat have you recited this in?
So there's a bit of a mix. Usually you always start in maqam bayat and end in maqam bayat.
Yes.
And then in the middle there's different maqams, so like rast and nahwan, which I used over here. Mm-hmm. But usually when you study these things, you'll see that there's, for example, whenever there's dua involved, then many of the qurra, they will use hijaz. It's a way of expressing dua. Whenever there's something sad, they'll use something called sabah al-hazin, as we know, which is a very somber tune and melody. And then rast sometimes for more happier times like that. And just personally, bayat is one of my favorites. Usually we only hear the beginning and the end, the a'udhu billah and the sadaq Allah, but there's so much more to bayat, which I remember the first time when I recited with Sheikh Yusuf Musa in Dar es Salaam. He told me, okay, let me see how good you are, just recite for me. So I recited a passage in my head thinking I've used 3 or 4 maqams, and I finished. He said, beautiful recitation, The whole thing was bayat. Well done. And for me, that was an offense. Like, oh my God, like I realized I didn't actually know anything.
Yeah.
But he was saying it because you can take just one maqam, and from that one maqam, there's so many things that you can do in terms of the melody.
Yeah.
But of course, let's not forget the meaning is much more important than any
Very,
of that.
very, very true. Ahsan. So there we have it, Brother Muhammad Datoo. Inshallah, we can all take snippets from his journey and be able to apply to our journey with the Quran. And with that, I leave you with Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.